warm outside and more people are out, we might kind of see a return to normalcy. So I think it's important that, as a community, we practice good public safety habits. And we can give you guys some flyers and handouts that you can pass out to your community members to kind of go over what some of those habits are, just so that we can keep these numbers as low as they've been. As far as departmental news, the biggest thing that has happened recently, Major Donald Deal did take over as the Northern District Commander on March 1st. Just a little bit of background about Major Deal. He's been with the department for 19 years. He's been a supervisor in both the Southwestern District and the Northwestern District. He's also seen investigation into the department as a captain in the Special Investigation Response Team. So, that unit investigates uses of force within the department. He oversaw that unit for a few years. So he's got a lot of experience, and he's bringing that to the Northern District. He understands the importance of community policing, so he'll definitely follow in Major Gibson's legacy there. We're all excited to have him. He's been a great commander so far, and I think the community is going to like him too. Other than that, nothing major to report. Like I said, we really like the crime numbers, and we're going to work with you guys to hopefully keep these numbers as low as they've been lately.
Thank you, Officer Henry. And I would like to point out for the residents that Major Deal is going to hold another meeting. He wanted to talk about his thoughts on policing and how he's going to be running the Northern District. There was an interruption during his last meeting. So as soon as I find out the information from Officer Henry, I'll definitely forward it to everyone. And I look forward to hearing that information. Are there any questions for Officer Henry or the Northern District? Okay, we will move on. If you do have questions, as always, you can email a board member and we will get them to Officer Henry. And I appreciate, Officer Henry, that you are always available, and all of the NCO officers for being available for anything that we need. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, thank you. You guys enjoy the rest of your meeting.
I would like to now go on to our elected officials. Councilwoman Ramos, if you would, I would like to give you the floor, as I think that Councilman Stokes has not joined us yet.
Okay, thanks. Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. So excited for spring. There are a couple of things coming up that I just wanted to make sure that you were aware. One is tomorrow at 2 o'clock, the City Council is hosting a meeting about water billing. This is the sort of #1 issue that a lot of people talk about, and certainly that is the #1 issue in my inbox right now in terms of problems with water billing. Some people not getting bills, incorrect bills, water leaking, all this kind of stuff. And it's a follow-up to the Inspector General's report that came out in December. It's at 2 o'clock virtually, and you can just log on. The information, I think I have it on my website. I do have it on my website, but I can also put it in the chat for all of you to participate. So that's tomorrow in the afternoon. And then next Monday, we have the Department of Public Works is starting to do these listening tours in every district. And so District 14 is the second one. This will be Monday, the 29th at 5:30. And I'll also put that link in the chat. It'll be virtual. It will be different than my normal town halls where it's just me and a conversation with me and whoever my guests are. In this case, everybody will be in the Zoom. They'll be very interactive, talking with the Department of Public Works about not just water bills, but, trash pickup, illegal dumping, asking questions about this new SOS program that they have for the basement backups. The new DPW director that the mayor has just hired will not be there. He doesn't start until May, but we will have top leadership there. So I'm excited about that. So I hope that you'll also join there. So those are some big things coming up in the district. Tonight, every Wednesday night, I have a town hall, and tonight we'll be with Dana Moore, who is our neighbor here in the neighborhood, but also the Chief Equity Officer And then if you can't catch it this evening because we'll be in the middle of the meeting, it's always on Facebook Live, so you can go back and look at those town halls. I have a weekly email newsletter that comes out on Mondays. I'll put my information in the chat so you can sign up for that as well. Some of the other things that I've been working on, as you know, I've been passionately working with the mayor to try to address tax sale this year and COVID so that some of our homeowners are not put into a predatory system to try to collect taxes. We are making some headway, and I think the mayor will hopefully have something soon to tell us. But that will also lead to the council starting to work on some major reforms of that system. We are also working on, I have introduced another bill about being able to pay property taxes in installments. And I'm going to be working a lot on some other housing bills coming up soon. So there's lots of activity going on in the council, as you know. And then if I may, Mr. Chair, I was going to use your item 13 as part of my report as well. Is that all right?
Please do.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the big news that happened that's happening in our neighborhood, because I live here too, is that Streets Market will be moving into the old Eddie's space. And so, you know, it's not going to be the same as Eddie's. Nothing can really be the same. We certainly miss Jerry and Darlene already. But Streets Market is very reputable. They have 2 locations now in Baltimore, one downtown Baltimore and one in area 56 over in Southeast. And so we look forward to having them. That is the first part of the announcement, and they'll be in sometime in the next 30 to 60 days. The second part of the announcement is that the developers who own that building want to do more. And so they will be going and doing public meetings because what they want to do is going to take an amendment to the PUD, which I will not let them do until we have a public process. So, because I have to introduce the bill, so they can't do it until we have the public process. But right now, the proposal is to they are working on buying the building where the Bank of America and the Noodle Place is, just demolishing that and the Eddie's building and eventually expanding the store, having one other commercial space, and then apartments at the top, and it would be student housing. It would not belong to Johns Hopkins, so it's still a tax generating building. But there still needs to be public input because what they want to do has there's height restrictions in the planned unit development. And so we'd have to amend the PUD in order to allow them to do the height limit. So we will be having public meetings about this. And I think if Sandy's on, she might want to talk about the PUD process. But we haven't come up with that process yet, unless she's already talked about it since she's the chair of the PUD committee. But that's kind of where we are now. But it is an exciting development that, you know, things are starting to move at that space. And we'll be able to get some sort of grocery. It sounds like a good one as well in that space.
Great, and thank you for that announcement. I'll just say that Sandy is not on the meeting this evening because I left her in a previous meeting about the 29th Street Community Center, and we'll have more announcements about that when we meet again. But she did want me to just reiterate exactly what you said. We will be using the normal Northern Charles Village HUD process where we include the community and then come to you with what we think is great for the community and have that back and forth. And so we will have more announcements about that in the very near future. And we appreciate your support in making sure that the community is involved in this process.
Yeah, and we have the leverage that they can't do anything until the PUD is they can't do what they're planning without the PUD being amended. So that is actually one of the advantages of having a PUD. As painful as it is sometimes, it is great. It is a good tool. And I understand that the committee has also talked about doing some other amendments while we're at it. So it will be a larger process, and we'll certainly have a lot of public involvement in that. So I'm looking forward to the opportunity. Mr. Chair, there were a couple of questions in the chat. I don't know if they were for me.
I think they are. I was just going to say.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the BGE bills are insane, aren't they? Oh my God. I do have an inquiry into BGE. We actually have several inquiries into BGE because of the several outages of the lights, especially on Guilford Avenue, and also about the recent high rates. So I'm going to continue to inquire about that and figure out what's going on because it's pretty insane. And then, so the flooding, all of you know that I've been working on this issue. I have the particular issue on 35th and Hillen with flooding, and Maureen, you're right on Berkeley. So I'm sure that there were some issues there today, even though we did get some new drains in recently. So we are still working with the city on a larger plan for the inland flooding piece. We did have a hearing on it, and they're finally paying attention to my 35th Street area that really needs it, but also thinking about what's the best way to address these. There will be a larger process to when these things happen to dial 311 and also go on to some other app to describe what they are so that we can be collecting data. And I'll be making an announcement about that as soon as I get more details. Traffic calming, I guess we'll go through everything, right, Miller? Traffic calming is, so there's two announcements to make there. One is I've convened a meeting last month of the community organizations up and down 28th and 29th Street. I don't know if the councilman's on yet, but he had said that he's been trying to work on a meeting with DOT so that we can have a walkthrough. So that's what we're waiting on at the moment. The other piece of this is I am working on a walkthrough with DOT for the entire district. I have several traffic calming issues in the district, and I was going to include 32nd and Berkeley on that. And then if we don't get the 28th and 29th Street, I'll include that there. So it is a humongous deal for me. It's just a huge deal. I guess we should talk about the Greenway Trails piece, the Greenway Trails announcement that you saw the other day. There's this huge 35-mile loop that's been developed throughout the city. There's still some places that it needs, and it's a trail network. The idea being, you know, bikes, walkers, runners, whoever can utilize these trails to connect all of our parks. And it's a wonderful idea. There are two places that are undone. There's one right off of Lake Montebello. There's two places in my district that aren't done. There's a place up in by Lake Montebello going into Morgan. So we'll be working on that plan. And then of course you all saw the 33rd Street trying to figure out what to do there. Nothing is set in stone. There's going to be tons of public meetings about what to do with that trail place, the trail plan between the Hopkins and Lake Montebello on 33rd Street. So there's no commitment to put the trail in the middle. There's no commitment to put the trail on the side. We don't know yet. There's going to be lots of communication about this. So I wanted to let you know that there's, you know, it's a lot of conversations that have to happen before anything is set in stone. I have an issue in the, you know, Coldstream Homestead Montebello area where we want bike trails in certain areas. I've been asking them for years and years, and then all of a sudden the other thing comes in. So we've got to deal with that as well. And then, you know, Green Mountain Avenue, we're still working on, Maureen. And maybe one day one of these meetings can have a discussion with the Main Street about that. But there are some really exciting things that are starting to happen. You'll see more construction. So let me just talk about Green Mountain Avenue construction for a second. Green Mountain Avenue construction from 35th up, all that digging and all the stuff going on up there will be done by the end of May. So that's a good thing. But what remains is the streetscaping. So what you're seeing in the business area, is the new sidewalks going in, and we'll get new sidewalks all the way up and then all the way back. The business area will have some nice brick in there. Some new trees that we need in the empty tree wells. It'll look beautiful. And then we'll get new streetscape and crosswalks. So the streetscaping will be another year. And it'll all be done finally by summer of 2022. I'm sorry that it's taken so long. It's so frustrating. But at least we're coming to the end of it. So that's a lot of information about what's going on. I'm happy to take any questions about.
I think that I'm going to push for Patrick and Michelle. I'm going to push 29th Street down to later in the agenda, and I can give you the updates that I know. I don't think the Councilwoman necessarily wants to do that. And then Councilwoman, remind me, I want to send you this spreadsheet about BG&E. Other people may throw shoes at me, but for our previous home in the last 12 years, my partner took all of our BG&E bills and figured out standard deviations and everything else. So I'll share that with you.
Wow.
I don't even know what I paid at the grocery store yesterday. Why he knows what we paid BG&E for the last 12 years. But we won't get stuck on that. So any other questions for?
Yeah, there definitely has been an issue with BGE. I mean, I looked at even our bills where, it was one last winter, much less than this winter. So there's definitely an issue going on. Since I hear it from other places, I know I'm not the only one.
Yeah, perfect.
Any other questions?
Yep.
There's a lot to cover. I'll stick around.
Well, maybe you can't, but graffiti, the Department of Public Works stopped removing graffiti months and months and months ago. And it's really a plague now. It's all over the district.
Yeah, Christina probably has a better update about that than I do, but my understanding is that the city is bringing back the graffiti folks, and also the bulk trash sometime at the end of April. So as things start to open up and more people get vaccinated, we're starting to bring back our city services that we know and love.
Yep, and I'll let Christina give the update because she has some supplemental work that she's doing. But I think in general, I think we'll all be happy about the announcement there. Anything else for the Councilwoman? Okay, well, I as always, I appreciate your time, and I know that tonight is a night of many, many meetings.
Many meetings that I really appreciate it. Thanks very much, and I'll put all that information that I talked about on the links on the chat.
And I don't think that Councilman Stokes has joined us. So I would like to see if Leah Lynch has joined us from the mayor's office, our community liaison from the mayor's office. I know that she was unable to join us last month. And I am trying to get our May meeting on the mayor's calendar. I was working on that. Mayor General or May General meeting on his calendar. So I will get that, but I would like to have our liaison for these meetings. And I know that everyone's just kind of getting settled. So I'll move on. Gina Clay, I had her down as always, and she normally attends, but I also realized that today she had to be out of the office. So I don't think that she is with us tonight, even though originally planned. As always, she's available from the state's attorney's office, and if we need any from her, I will put that in our next email blast, her contact information. I think most of us have it, but just to make sure that it's fresh in our memories. So we're going to move on to the next topic, which is the CVCA website and e-newsletter. I cannot say enough about the board members who dealt with the issues we had with our website. There was an issue where our website got taken down. A lot of time and effort had to go into just getting us reinstated. And at the same time, they got our new website up, which I think is absolutely gorgeous. We are working through all of the pieces, but in the process of us getting flagged for something absolutely not even true or right? We did lose our distribution list. So if you go to the website, you will see a pop-up. And so we're asking everyone, please, please, please go sign back up. If you haven't been getting the e-newsletter that we send out weekly, it's because we no longer have you on the list. So spread the word and tell people to go sign up. And I am taking notes here because I think there are several things for this upcoming newsletter that I need to put in there, because this week seemed a lot of things have just started to be resolved, graffiti and all these other things. And I want to put that in that newsletter. So please tell everyone to sign up. I'm going to turn to the communications and outreach team to see if they want to say anything about those communications.
This is Beth. I think you pretty much covered it. Just people keep checking back. We're going to start improving the site more and more and making it more usable.
Thank you, Beth, and thank you to all of the board members who put in the hours for that. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to do it, so I appreciate that. I'll move on to item number 8, the Sisson Street Drop-Off Center. I think that we've had a topic last general meeting, and it's been a lot of traffic on several of the social media sites regarding whether or not there were plans to close that center. Let me just say that right now, no deals have been formed. Everyone is coming to the drawing board to make sure that all parties are represented and taken care of. We will most definitely, as an organization, be a champion to make sure that our voices are heard and all voices are heard in terms of development. We want development in Remington and in our neighboring neighborhoods. At the same time, that is a well-used drop-off center, even though it's small. It is run very well. I'm always surprised when I go over there that I can do recycling, trash, oysters, and be in and out of there in no time. So, oyster shells. So I'll keep everyone updated, but right now there are no updates. Everything is moving forward as it always has been. And Councilwoman, if there's anything else there, feel free to chime in. Okay. Christina, CVCBD updates.
Good evening, everyone. So I do have a lot of things to go through. So if anyone has questions as I'm talking, please feel free to drop them in the chat. I will try to do my best to respond to things as they pop up. We're doing a lot of hiring right now. So we brought on, we were understaffed last year before COVID. And then since COVID, we are even more understaffed, but we have begun the hiring process, bringing on now 1 new sanitation worker, and we are working on bringing on at least 3 more to get us up to pre-COVID understaffed levels. And so we're working through the long list that we have of individuals who've come past the office and saying that they're looking for a job, and we've taken down their information. And so once we get through that, if we haven't filled our spots, then we'll send out a job announcement for everyone to share. We've also brought on a fellow from the University of Baltimore who is working with us to begin conversations with Barclay and Midway communities, which we're very excited about. Part of Barclay is already a part of the benefits district, and we're looking to have conversations in the hopes of identifying if the benefits district is a great partner to expand our boundaries further into the communities, or if there are other interventions that we can help partner with them on to address safety and sanitation concerns. So that conversation will be ongoing throughout this year and into next year. So, but very excited to have that person on board. We also worked with the LISC, which is Local Initiative Support Corporation, and Midtown Benefits District, to bring on a Vista. So we had interviews this week and last week. We've identified the person that we want to bring on. We're waiting on LISC to send us all of the paperwork and scheduling and things that they need to do for background checks and such, for them to be able to start April 16th. And so once that person comes on, they will be a community safety Vista who will be assisting us, hopefully with the award of the Innovation Fund, to begin having conversations with all of our communities around what public safety actually looks like. And so very happy, very excited that we have this opportunity, but then also to begin these conversations with each community member about what public safety should look like moving forward. There's also, we had a mental health first aid training on March the 11th. We're scheduled to have another one on June 24th. We have approximately 17 spots available. So if anyone is interested, I will make sure to put my information in the chat. So please just send me an email and let me know if you're interested in participating in that. It is a 5.5-hour training during the day on June 24th from 10 to 3:30 with a couple of hours of pre-work before, but it is very informative, very useful, very helpful in being able to identify the warning signs for someone exhibiting a mental health crisis or challenge. And I know that as a result of COVID, folks are probably feeling things a little bit more than they probably were before. And so being able to offer resources to a neighbor or a friend or someone you may be passing on the street regularly, being able to offer aid when it's needed, it's a good training to be able to have as a community member. Also, wanted to make sure that I directed everyone to our website. So if you go to charlesvillage.org, not to be confused with charlesvillage.net, we have on the front page a flyer for our upcoming community event, which is going to be on April the 7th at 7 p.m. to discuss our budget, our proposed budget for fiscal year 22. And so with that, we are asking people to review the budget that's been proposed. A link is also provided at the top of the website. Thank you, Miller, for sharing that screen. So that's the flyer for the event, but if you scroll to the top of the page, you'll see right next to home, it says fiscal year 22 proposed budget. If you click there, there's information there about what the budget looks like. There's also a link for proposed budget where you can click on that and it'll show you the entire proposed budget. There we've highlighted where there's differences from this year to last year. And then back on the main page, it kind of goes over what some of those differences are in the budget. So there's also at the bottom of the page, the timeline available so that you can see exactly what we do in order to make sure that we are making sure that our budget is receiving community input, but then also legally we're required to have the budget approved by the Board of Estimates. And then below that is an opportunity for you to leave a comment as well. So if you have a comment, you want to let us know, or a question about the budget, please feel free to leave it there. Or you can also send me an email and I'll leave that information in the chat again. And then the other thing is we're also doing an in-person meeting on April the 24th, which will be a very busy day. But April the 24th from 2 to 4, we will be hosting a gallery style in-person meeting, which means a few people at a time can come into Peabody Heights in the Pennant Room, which is the room, if anyone's been there, closest to the restroom. We'll have boards up displaying the budget and other information where folks can ask questions and receive a drink ticket if they choose to accept one, to be able to partake in a beer at Peabody Heights. But hopefully if there's any other questions following our virtual meeting on the 7th, then we can get them all answered there as well. And then the other thing that's going on right now is we're working on approving some new bylaw changes, which we would hope to be able to do around the same time as we're approving the budget. That information should be shared by your representatives from our board. We'll make sure to try to post that on our website as well, so that you can also go to the website to see the exact changes that are being proposed. I'll work on doing that tomorrow. I apologize that that's not already up. But we'll make sure that you can see exactly what it is we're proposing. Some of them are about dates, making sure that things are more in line with our fiscal year rather than calendar year. And then some other things are just small changes, typos, things like that. And then lastly, it was the question about graffiti came up. Miller, I'm sorry, if you can go back to our website. We have under contact us on our page, we have a place where you can report abandoned vehicles, a place where you can report sanitation or safety concerns. And now we also have a place where you can report graffiti, the need for graffiti removal. We, however, do not remove graffiti, but this is an opportunity in anticipation of the city restarting its graffiti removal services for us to catalog all of the graffiti that is across the entire district. So we'll be working on it ourselves. The goal is to be able to also map where we've already collected graffiti and then where people have already reported it. So when the city introduces or regain or restarts its program, we can strategically send all that information to the city for it to be removed as quickly as possible. I'm assuming we'll still have to submit 311 requests, which we will work on doing that at the benefits district on everyone's behalf for the city to be able to track those things. But if we can send that information ahead to whomever our contact will be at DPW to get that graffiti moved as quickly as possible, that's the goal. And then I did see requests for information in the chat. I will make sure to add that as well. Hope I didn't go too fast. If anyone has any questions, let me know.
We have the recording. Just want to make sure everybody knows that 4:30 to 5:30 a.m. those contact us links are reserved for me. That's when I do my entry. Sorry,
I have
I kind of blew it up this morning.
I have several in my inbox that are going out tomorrow because I have one I have to add to it that a community member has sent to me by email that I want to make sure is recorded through our link so that we're keeping track of it that way.
Wonderful. And I appreciate being able to turn that over and just having an extra set of eyes once I call 311 about those issues. Any additional questions for Christina? I know that I have some other questions that will be later in the agenda here.
I was just wondering, I'm Taylor of Oak Street AME Church at Howard and 24th Street. Good evening, everybody. I was just wondering if there are any announcements or updates for the Old Goucher District.
First of all, thank you for being here, and know that all of our faith-based institutions are definitely welcome to be at these meetings, and we want to hear from you all as well, all the time. And I will touch base with you if you could maybe send me your contact information. I have recently moved into Old Goucher, and
Amen.
yes, I'm 7 or 8 days into it. And so would be happy to speak with you and find out when the meeting schedules are, and I'll help connect with folks. I know we have a couple other Old Goucher residents on the call and get those announcements for you, but we don't have any tonight unless anyone else who lives in Old Goucher wants to speak up.
Okay. I'm typing my information in chat right now.
Thank you. I will definitely be in touch. Any other benefits district questions? Okay. I will also just say, you know, feel free to sign up for the benefits district email too, so you can get all of those things. Follow on Facebook and all that stuff so you stay in the know. But we'll
I certainly will. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Okay, we can move on now. Janice, membership renewal?
Sure. Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to give a little bit of a shout out here for our membership renewal. We're continuing to get requests for membership. And if I know we have a few people on the call tonight who are not members yet. And I would just encourage you to
Janice, can you unmute? I think something happened.
Oh, goodness. Not sure what happened there. Thank you, Miller. Yeah. If you're not a member, we'd love to have you as a member. Dues for a household are just $15 a year. And there's a membership sign up, really easy to do on the website, charlesvillage.net. Just complete the membership form and then click over to the pay link and you're good to go. So again, we certainly welcome everybody. You don't obviously have to be a member to attend these meetings, but we just since you're here, obviously you have an interest in the community, and we'd love to get you more involved. And the dues do go to support our activities. So, and if you have any questions of me, you can contact me at membership@charlesvillage.net. Thanks, Miller.
Janice, thank you. And I do want to take a moment to recognize all the time that you put into membership cultivation, be it just processing all the membership forms, but some of the things that everyone on this call may not know is that Janice hand delivers as necessary invitations to join with chocolate, and really make sure that we're getting those memberships. This has been a rough year for our businesses, just given because they're closed and everything, and just I think has maintained some important relationships, and I appreciate that. So thank you, Janice. And for anybody that's saying you didn't get chocolate, we'll work on that. I saw the faces. It's okay. We'll get more chocolate. All right. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to John Spurrier to talk about CVCA spring and summer events. After what has been the longest period of isolation, I think, and I hope that everyone is being safe and we can continue to be safe. I know already that John has some incredible things planned. So John, take it away. What do we got?
Good evening, everyone. The Charles Village Music Series kind of started, it evolved from a monthly block party in 2017. One time we were going to get rained out when we moved the event to Peabody Heights Brewery to the beer garden where the stage is undercover. And it just turned out to be the perfect venue. Since 2017, we've had over 100 events, most in the beer garden at Peabody Heights Brewery. We've had pop-up events throughout the neighborhood. Last year we did 8 or 9. This year we've got the most ambitious plan ever with 48 events. We're partnering with Waverly Main Street to put on 11 Thursday night live music, happy hours or whatever you want to call them, from 5:30 till 8 p.m. every other Thursday, starting May 6th, with a wide variety of live music. In addition to that, we'll have 22 Friday nights at Peabody Heights Brewery, starting in May, running until early October. We're also working with Sarah Autry, the owner of Get Shredded, who moved her business recently to Washington. She's a musician herself. She'll be curating 5 events in West Charles Village, in the areas bounded by Charles Street, 29th Street, and say the Wyman Parkdale, Howard, and 26th Streets. So we're looking to have monthly events in West Charles Village starting in May. And this year we'll also have 10 pop-ups on different blocks throughout the neighborhood. The musicians will perform from someone's front porch or maybe backyard. The residents of that block will feed the musicians and they'll get a small stipend. We're probably gonna have about 10 of those at various locations throughout the neighborhood. So that's pretty much about it. But if there's anyone out there who would like to provide financial support, we certainly would welcome it. Really excited to have a great year of music this year.
Okay, thank you, John. And I think that we'll be giving updates about other events that we may do or try to organize after we get clearance. You know, we're all working in this precarious position where we can't organize some events because city and state agencies cannot attend. And the other day, I think on a national level, National Night Out is ready to get registered. We always support National Night Out, but we can't make any commitments right now. And also we did some incredible barbecues last year and I'm all ready to work the grill again. But we have to make sure that we're all in a safe place because we don't want to be a super spreader. So, but in this, John has set up these very well distanced music series, and so I'm looking forward to that. And thank you, John. Okay, I will talk about one more thing, and then I'll turn the floor over to Councilman Stokes and then to Latoya from the MTA. Let me just share my screen. I think it was a year ago. And I'm sorry, did anybody have questions for John? I think we're good there. So it was about a year ago, we had representatives come and talk to us about the Howard Street Tunnel Project and the CSX Railroad line. They have released the environmental assessment. And on this website that I'm showing here, you can see where they have where different work will be done, and part of the work does run through the CVCA catchment area. And so you can visit this website, and I'll throw it in the link, the chat in a second. And as well, you can provide comment. So wanted to make sure that everyone knew about this and took a look at some of the things that are to come. Sandy Sparks is also taking a look, as well as all of the board members. So I will copy this and throw it in here, but just wanted to raise awareness about that. And if you have any trouble getting to that link, feel free to email me. Any questions about that?
Miller, is there a deadline for
Yeah.
commenting? Do you know what it is?
It is, I believe it's March 30th. So we have a very tight deadline here. Yes, March 30th.
Wow, that's less than a week.
And I think that if you have some concerns about that, Bradley Smith is the person to contact. And if you want to, feel free to copy me and see if we need to ask for any additional time, if you need time to digest. Okay. Let me stop sharing that. I would like to turn the floor over now to Councilman Stokes.
They call 6 months.
Thank you. My mother taught me, say, ladies are first. So is my council colleague, has she done her spiel yet?
Yep,
Okay.
I'm all set.
I don't want to be rude. My mother gave me good manners, so I don't want to mess that up with Council Odette and all the ladies and Christine. Or I don't want to get people, you know. She taught me well. Councilman Odette had just passed a good bill also, and she got the full council support on that. But I want to talk about, I had a bill that probably be 30 days going to affect about late fees for renters. That went very well. It passed, and what it does, usually landlords would charge renters after 5 days the late fees. It's now 10 days. And the reason why, because we know people now have been out from work, and the late fees been piling up in terms of this COVID-19. So I want to thank my colleagues and Councilwoman Odette who supported it also. So that should be going in effect in the next 30 days. Also, I introduced a bill because a lot of times we don't have pathways for our young people in city government when they're working, or just employees. So what I did was, it's called a study and report succession planning. And what it does, it invites human resources in consultation with certain other agencies, submit a report to the mayor and the city council, examine the short and long-term sustainability of city internal workforce. And a lot of times when we give a hire people in the city, we always seem to go outside of the city to hire people. We don't hire within. And this is the idea of this particular piece of legislation. And we probably gonna have a lot of work session on it, but that's what I'm looking at in terms of making sure we have people that have the experience in city government and give them the opportunity to become the directors or you know, those things are not in place. And the idea of this to make sure we don't forget our city employees who also work hard in this city also. So that's two things. I'm trying to think because there's so much. Oh, this well, everybody know about the school system. That's April the 8th. We having a hearing with the CEO to find out what happened to this young man, what happened to these other young men, young women who are not just in that school, but in other schools, and making sure, one, they get a quality education. And a lot of times Fox 45 misquote things. They saying this young man passed. He did not pass. He went to another grade course. So if he passed algebra, he failed algebra 1, they just passed him to algebra 2. He did not go from the 9th grade to the 10th grade. So the way they present it is very confusing. And I had to explain it. I had somebody explain it to me because it looked like when he got to the supposed in the 12th grade, he thought he was in the 12th grade, but he didn't have the credits. So all he did was went for algebra 1 to algebra 2. He didn't pass algebra 1. So he's considered still in 9th grade. So when they say pass, it really puts a cloud in the confusion. So the idea is so the parents will understand what all that means, because that's that shop school talk. They have to simplify for people to understand what that means, especially the parents. So that's scheduled for April the 8th at 5 p.m. and it'll be on Charm City 25. So that's been pretty draining because, oh my God, when we talk about one kid, and I know it's a lot more like that, we just have to get a hold on it and make sure whatever mistakes we made with that young man, that we correct them, because any kid in the city should have a quality education. If they not get it, it does a disservice to them. And we don't want our kids dropping out of school and they're out in the street because there's nothing in school for them to want to go there. So that's 3 pieces of legislation. I don't know if Odette can remind me of some stuff we doing together. So
We had talked a little bit about the traffic calming on 28th and 29th.
oh yes, y'all talked about that?
Yeah, I just said we're waiting for Dot to give us a date on a walkthrough, right?
No, I actually got a report back from, what's his name from transportation? God knows.
Graham?
Who's the guy? Huh?
Graham.
Graham. He just sent me a report. So what he did was he went out himself and looked at some of the lights, how they gonna reset them. So Councilwoman, I'll make sure you get that report. He sent it out and he kind of did his own walk because there's a box on 28th and St. Paul. And he said, I say, can't you go in there and reset the traffic lights? He said, if he do that, he got to do all of them, so, which can be a problem. So that's all in the report, but I'll make sure Odette get it. Christine, I'll make sure y'all get it and y'all can go through it. And if the community will go through it and ask some more questions of Graham, we can do that also. But he did give me the report, because that's important.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. So, Mr. President, that's all I have. I'm still waiting to get the MOU for the comfort spot at the Brentwood Apartments for our officers, Eastern District and Northern, that can go there 7 days a week, in and out, do whatever they want, so we can deter some of this crime or the thought of people doing something like that space there is going to be real helpful. So.
Awesome. Thank you. And happy belated birthday. Yes.
Oh, same to you, because our birthday the same day.
That's right.
And my twin
25.
sister. Oh, what you say?
I'm 25. That's what I'm telling you.
Well, I don't know why I'm on this call, because I'm 15.
Okay. Very good. All right.
Hey, Christine, why are you laughing?
Any questions for Councilman Stokes?
Well, thank you all for allowing me to speak and tell you some of the things I'm doing. But I just want to say one thing. I work closely with former Councilwoman Mary Pat Clark, and I have that same relationship with Councilwoman Odette, and I want to keep that. Thank you.
That's wonderful. We appreciate that. We are, it's what we need to get things done when the districts are so weaved together. We know those lines. Okay, I would like to turn the floor over to Latoya F., who is here, and I appreciate you being here from Maryland Transit Administration, and I know you joined another meeting, and I immediately came up with a list of things to you, and thank you for being receptive to even talking about them, but the floor is yours.
Absolutely, that's what I'm here for. I'm here as a resource to the community. Our office, I'm in the Office of Customer and Community Relations. We're trying to be more visible before there are things going on. So before there's a major service change or before we have work in your community, we want people to know who we are and that we're here for you. So if there's any concerns or anything that you guys have that are going on with MTA, I've dropped my email there in the chat. And then we are beefing up our recruitment for our Citizens Advisory Committees. We have two. One is the Citizens Advisory Committee for Accessible Transportation, and the other one is just the General Citizens Advisory Committee. And they are our citizen voice to the MTA. So they get to hear what's happening before it hits the streets to the public. They have a bit of a voice and some policy and usually has the ear of the administrator 1 to 2 times a year. So we're trying to beef up our recruitment for that. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out. But that's all I really had. Just wanted to introduce myself and let you know I was here.
Thank you. Anyone have questions for MTA?
I do have one, and it's about disability transportation.
Okay.
Has that improved in any way, shape, or form?
So they have. I would have to know what concerns you were having to know if we improved in a way that would impact you.
I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, I know that our Accessible Transportation Committee meeting every month, they're talking about the things that are changing and the way that the ways they're trying to be more efficient and effective.
Thank you. It's about efficiency, I would imagine, because a church member or two from Oak Street and Old Goucher Village has to use that means of transportation. And once service is over and, the meeting, after the meeting per se is over, sometimes she's still left there, in the courtyard. So we sit with her, but just waiting for the MTA disability to pick her up. And I was wondering, go ahead.
No, there could be a number of different factors. So when we schedule the rides, we try to make them so that the operators are taking the path of least resistance, I guess, to pick up people. So it could be, when it was scheduled and what else was along that driver's route. Without me knowing her exact information, I can't give too many details, but I'll also drop my work phone in the chat. I can get you in contact or get her in contact with somebody over in mobility a little closer to take a look at what's happening.
Yeah, I'd be very thankful if we could offline, and I'm happy to help as well. So I'll make a note for us all to connect and just see if we can take a look at some exact situations, and maybe there's something that we can adjust accordingly.
Yeah.
I thank you both.
Any other items for the MTA? Okay. Latoya, we're not a shy group, so I'm sure we'll be in touch. Thank you definitely for being here.
No problem.
Okay, well, let's go to the open floor. And if there are no objections, I just want to go back to the items in the chat that we did not address, and then I can open up the floor. The very first one that we haven't talked about is the unit block of 29th Street. I think that we all were on the call, or many of us were on the call, where we had Hopkins come and talk about their desire to tear down the row homes that they now own and have acquired over the last 11 years in the unit block of 29th Street. I think that residents were very clear in their disappointment in that decision and how there could be things done to mitigate and recycle supplies from that unit block. Hopkins heard that, and their original plan was to begin construction in January. As you will notice, they have not. And I spoke with Jennifer last week to say, you know, are you able to come and give updates? And they are still trying to figure out how to do and implement some of the things that residents suggested, especially regarding recycling some of the materials and taking a look at if in fact they have to take the guts of those row homes out, is there a way to salvage the fronts, because you know that matches with the character of the community. And so they are going to get back to us before they start again, and so that we can have another comment period. There were also some really great comments and thoughts about making sure that the sidewalks are maintained properly. And so just great information that comes when we have several community members who can come together and talk about something that's happening in our community. And just for clarity, it's 5 through 19 West 29th Street that we are talking about. And out of that entire conversation, the community said we also need to take a look at other areas where the university is buying up property, and just to make sure that we don't let something go on for 11 years and things fall into disrepair that requires that they be condemned. So I'll ask the two people who posted that question, any other follow-up on that information? Okay, let me keep going. Let me just see what this last message was. I think that's as much as we can get. I promise you that I'm watching that like a hawk, and we'll get to everyone as soon as I get information. Okay, so I will keep going down here before I open the floor. Just let me take a scan. I think now we can go to open floor. And if I miss something, please let me know. Anyone?
Mr. President,
Yes.
real quick, it's just one thing I left off I wanted to share with everybody real quick, if you don't mind.
Go right ahead.
The graffiti funding will be restored back in the end of April. Me and Costello work closely with Councilman Scott and his the city administrator. So I know that's been an issue. So the funding will be restored back April the 30th. I forgot to tell you guys.
Great, thank you. And I see a message from Kaylin, and also there's a question about 219 West 27th Street. And so I need to take a look at that one. Let's see what we got here. 219 West 27th Street. Can someone give me the history and background on that? Looks like someone needs, oh yes, okay. So you sent me an email. There's tons of graffiti and I walked past there. Wait, this is west and not east. Is that correct? Let me go back. Oh, no, it's east. Yeah, between Guilford and the alley, right? Because I walked by there with my dog. You sent me an email and I did not reply, and I meant to. And I can happily send you, let me do a search on that, who the owner is, as well as I will get with our council persons to see the status of that. Let me just look real quick to see if there are any notices on that. I don't see any notices. Let me look at one other thing, or citations. No citations. And what about permits, since we're here? The last permits were 2014. I think that what you're pointing to is that that store has been closed and there's a fair amount of graffiti on it. Let me follow up on that, Michelle, and get back to you. And I failed. You did send me an email. And it's been an eyesore. Okay, Great. Other topics, open floor. It's a little scary. It's 8:07 and this meeting is coming to an end. I don't know if I've.
Miller, it's Janet. The Sisson Street drop-off update, did you give that already and I just missed it, or?
Yeah, I think you were preparing for different things. Yes, I just said that everything is stabilized at this point and that we don't really have any updates. Nothing's been sold, and I will definitely let people know how to give input should there be any potential movement, and our council persons know how we feel about it, and it is a well-used location.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Miller, hi, it's Maureen Daly from Able. I also, the Salvation Army ran a grocery store. They called it Doing the Most Good. It was on the northeast corner of 29th and Barclay, and that's empty. I'm concerned sort of overall that we have so many key locations now that are standing empty. It's empty Eddie's, empty Doing the Most Good. 2 grocery stores lost in 6 months. CVS on Greenmount is closed. Mama Lucia's never opened back up. We have big property, and the plans for 31st and Greenmount also haven't gone anywhere, and now it's totally graffiti covered. What used to be the Northwood Bar. So we have a lot of empty properties, and they're big and important, used to be key. But particularly, anybody hear anything about what's going to happen with the grocery store of the Salvation Army?
Sure. Okay, so let me just change my hat real quick, and I'll speak as a staff member of Central Baltimore Partnership. And Maureen, you named off several locations that are of interest, I think, to everyone, as we are trying to make sure that our community is well developed and that we don't lose anchors that are important to us. And I will let you know that our council persons also have been in the conversations about the Salvation Army grocery store, and I can give you this update. They did in fact close the retail operations. They will be continuing to use the back of the building, majority of the building, when you look at the square footage, to run several of their operations. They are currently in conversations with several people who want to do something to make sure that storefront does not go dark. That will not be an option for a number of reasons. There are several people who gave money to that, and it's unfortunate they were unable to maintain that operation, but I can tell you that that will not happen, and there are several people at the table to make sure that that becomes a space that is used and not a dark unit for the community. Mama Lucia's, there was a fire there at the corner of 33rd and Greenmount a while ago. Several things happened. There are some, I'm going to just say, I guess, conversations with the landlord, and Mama Lucia's will not return, but there are several entities that are trying to get, and believe me, we all wanted Mama Lucia's to return because they were incredible supporter of the community. For anyone who doesn't know, you could call them for pizzas and they would give you a truckload if you needed it for any community event. And so we are trying to, CBP and I think several other organizations, work with the landlord to get another tenant in that space. I mean, that's a great corner. It needs to be occupied. So hopefully on that. CVS, I will say I don't have much information on that, but it's my understanding that someone has an offer out for that building. So something's going to happen there. I don't know who it is. So those 3 are taken care of. 31st and Greenmount, I will say that I don't have any information on that, but can try to find something. But I agree with you. We need all of the storefronts occupied. That's what our community needs. And I will tell you that there are people who want to be here, and there are calls every day for stores, restaurants who are ready to come to Greenmount Avenue. Council, you know? Yes, sir.
Yes, real quick, I just want to follow back up with President Miller was talking about. I talked to John Davis over at the, what do you call it? It's actually a market. It used to be a market. I think Mrs. Maureen called it something else. That was the problem because it looked like the Salvation Army. It actually was a market. That was the confusing part about it. And they were
Yeah,
about,
doing the most good, the grocery
yeah,
store.
they were skipping, they
29th and
changed
Bartlett.
it and called it the community market. But unfortunately, talked to Mr. Davis, they're not selling the building and they lost $400,000 in that space. So that's why they had to close. I just want to kind of mention that also. Thank you.
Definitely. So I'll give updates. That's an important spot in the community, and you know, just given proximity to the school, I would love to see that to be a food resource. So I'll get updates in May, definitely for everyone.
On the bright side, 2 theater groups have joined Greenmount Avenue. I don't know if people are aware, but Single Carrot Theater is now operating out of St. John's campus of the church on Greenmount. And the Baltimore Rock Opera Society is moving into that. I think it's the 3100 or 3100 block of Greenmount. So those are good additions, good energy coming to the neighborhood, but lots of big empty commercial spaces, anchor spaces.
Yes, thank you so much. And we're going to continue to work on those. I have something here from the Teachers and Researchers Union, and I want to give you space. I know that I was supposed to put something in the newsletter, and I'll see where I drop the ball on that between the person who actually sends it and the person who compiles the notes. But feel free if you would like to have the floor.
Yeah, hi. My name is Michael Wilkinson. I'm a graduate student at Hopkins, and I guess I'm a representative today for the Teachers and Researchers Union. Hopkins has it's not officially recognized union, and that's kind of what we're fighting for, is official recognition from the university. Basically, you know, we're fighting on behalf of graduate student rights and researchers' rights. Currently, by federal guidelines, private universities do not need to recognize graduate workers as workers, basically, is the language of the bill. So we aren't guaranteed rights like healthcare, minimum wage, things like that. So that's the big thing that we're pushing for right now. I had sent to Mr. Miller some website links, but I'll post them here as well just to support. Currently, one of the things that we are fighting for that we could use community support for is past past couple of months, Hopkins gave all of its essential workers a $500 bonus as a thank you for basically working through the pandemic, all except the graduate workers, because again, we're not considered real workers. So they thought it was not necessary to give us those bonuses as well. Even though many of us are, you know, especially with this pandemic, not to be over dramatic, but risking our health to go into the lab and continue to perform essential research for the university. Currently that's one of the letter campaigns that we're pushing for. So there's another link specifically for that campaign, but also put a link to our website just so you can see what we've been up to. So I don't just waste a bunch of time just detailing these specific things we've been up to, and you guys can look on our website. So thank you for giving me the floor and the opportunity to talk on that a little bit.
Sure. Thank you, Michael. As an organization, obviously we cannot write a letter for that, but definitely as a resident, you are welcome to share that information, and then individual residents can respond accordingly. So I did want to give you space for that. Other items on the open floor? Okay, I might have to make, yeah.
This is Jennifer Martin speaking. I had a question for Councilman Stokes. I'm part of the group that's working to have a green space on 26th Street, just off of Guilford. And it's the Department of Transportation that we're working with to build seating area and planters and make a nice little half block park. And we're waiting for an MOU with the Department of Transportation. We've been waiting for months. and just not making any progress. And so my question is, Councilman Stokes, can you help us push the DOT to make progress? The MOU has to happen first, I believe, before the construction can start. And we'd love a little bit of help if you can give it.
You have it. I actually read your email today, and I'm actually reaching out to DOT because that is entirely too long for somebody to be waiting for a response from DOT and the MOU. So I'm on top of it,
Great.
and I'll be
Thank you
glad
so
to
much.
push it and get it done for you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your support.
The other thing we'll put in the newsletter, but let everyone know about the announcement from the mayor's office about cleanup after an overflow. This has been a topic that we've had on this meeting as well when there's a sewage backup and the response to that. There's a 12-month pilot that will be going into effect. As we know, there was a process where you had to call in within 24 hours of a sewage backup in order to get any support. And then there was a process where you filed for a claim, but then we only found out that like 2% of the claims were ever approved. Things are changing. And so I want to make sure that people are aware of that, and we'll put that in the newsletter. Okay, what else do we have? Well, this is pretty darn amazing because it's 8:18 and we've gotten through our agenda. I feel like there's a lot of information here that we've shared. And so I look forward to seeing everyone in May. And I think there will be a lot of updates. We probably won't be able to finish at the same time because there'll be a lot going on, and hopefully we'll be talking about events and a lot of other things. And if there are no other topics, going once, twice, and 3 times, I appreciate everyone for being here this evening. I wish you only the best as always. Stay safe and healthy. I am closing this meeting out. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Thanks, Miller.
Sure. Thank you.
Nice